Don't forget to check out that disclaimer, and also remember that everybody who supports me on Patreon gets to see preview images, work in progress shots, and high resolution images of the completed toy before anybody else. If you want to join them, the link is right below. Hello my friends, this is Wake Angel 2001 coming at you with a commission for Alice. It is Youmu Konpaku from Toho Project. And I'm going to get ahead of all you, I do not know anything about her or the franchise she's from. I just did a quick skimming I did a quick Google and looked up the wiki real quick so I could get a basic knowledge of these terms. I do not know if I'm pronouncing anything correctly, and I don't know anything about the deep lore, aside from the fact that this girl's supposed to be some kind of half-spirit thing. I don't know if this is if Toho Project is a game franchise or an anime franchise or whatever, but I can tell you that it is anime-styled. So if I say anime girl, and you want to point out, this isn't an anime, it's a game, or something to that effect, I'm just talking about the art style, not that it's literally that thing. You know, like how Cuphead is a 30s cartoon style, even though it isn't literally a 30s cartoon. So with all that said, let's actually get to making the toy. The base figure I went for this one was Nico Minoru again. It's the same figure that I used to make Morgana a few weeks ago. It's kind of funny how it keeps on coming back to this gothic Lolita wizard girl, huh? Anyway, I figured, like, turning gothic Lolita into schoolgirl, anime schoolgirl, wouldn't be that big of a leap. So body modifications are relatively light. Let's get into it. I sculpted in the big old bow and the collar, and that's pretty much all the sculpting that the main torso needed, aside from a couple of buttons on the midsection. The rest of it's pretty much a repaint. She has those little curly patterns. I believe it's I do know that it has a lot to do with Eastern mythology and their resemblance to fetuses, and they're used in spiritual iconography quite often. So I don't know what they're called, and I don't know why they're on there specifically, aside from the fact that she is a half spirit, so that could be the reference. But then again, I'm just trying to make myself to show that I'm not completely ignorant, but as I said, I'm not an expert, so let's move on before I embarrass myself more. The arms didn't require much sculpting either, just a little bit for the puffy part of her sleeve. And even though I did use the crazy glue trick to do my best to prevent any paint from peeling, the fact is that the pin disc simply will not accept paint, and as soon as I move the arms, it very neatly peeled right off. So I kind of have the thing with the Bandai's Thundercat toy line, where you have these really nice figures, but all of their pins and discs are black, which clash with the paint job. I really wish there was something I could do about that, but aside from finding a figure that has the pin discs in the right colors already, which would be much more expensive and time-consuming, there isn't much I can do. Now, I did make a mistake with the legs. The reference image that I got for Youmu had her with socks that were rolled up close to her ankles, and I did try to sculpt that at first, along with a little bit of lace up by her thigh to represent her bloomers, but then when I put the leg back together, it looked kind of horrible. She had some really nasty calves going on there. But I looked up some more references of the character and found that sometimes she's represented with socks that go up a little higher. So I'm like, oh, cool. I will just do that style of sock then. So I redid the sculpting of her sock to be pulled up a little higher up her calf. This is covering up Minoru's boots. I did try to swap out with a leg that naturally just had a smooth calf, but I couldn't find one that fit, and I can't exactly go out shopping for action figures because they're still living under the lockdown. So, some higher socks was the compromise I came up with. And that's pretty much the body. It's a Youmu Konpaku in the Marvel Legends style. That's kind of fun. But there is one thing that I couldn't simply repaint, and that is the face. So let's go on the long journey of how I made an anime girl's face. Hey, you know what? Why didn't they make a proper action figure of Penny Parker? Like, from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? Like, I'm pretty sure toys of almost every character from that movie franchise, from that particular movie exists, except for Penny. I mean, they probably made like a kid's toy for her to tie in with the movie, but in Marvel Legends, I don't think we have a proper Penny Parker. Which is a shame because that actually would have been the perfect base toy to use for this because Penny Parker is an anime schoolgirl. Anyway, since I didn't have that, I had to use my Dark Magician Girl here. As you can see from the shape, an anime girl's face, like the Dark Magician Girl, doesn't really look anything like the American comic book style face that Nico Minoru has. So I had to make a cast of the Dark Magician Girl here. I started by, of course, mushing the faceplate into some epoxy sculpt to make a nice mold, and normally I would put some talcum powder there, and then push some epoxy in, and then when I pull it out, I would have a face. But I kept on getting bumps and scars, and bits of it would stick to the mold. So I found a new technique. This time I rubbed some ordinary petroleum jelly. Popular brand of which like Vaseline, but Vaseline is a trademark, so petroleum jelly is the generic. Although I do think that we actually use Vaseline itself. That's not the point. It's a lubricant. It's an oil-based lubricant. I coated the mold with the petroleum jelly, and then I pushed the epoxy into the mold and let it set overnight. The petroleum jelly prevented the two pieces of epoxy from actually sticking to each other. So the next day, I was able to go in there with my X-Acto knife and spatula it out, getting a fairly clean Dark Magician Girl face. I did have to sculpt on the nose a little bit because the petroleum jelly got into the nose hole and didn't let the epoxy go all the way into it. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a nose job to make it look a little bit better. Then I cut off the face from the Nico figure and stuck my new anime girl face onto it. And then that big ugly seam is covered by the sculpt of the hair. So yeah, so now that she has her hair, you can't even really tell that they're two different things. It all just looks like one thing. So huzzah! With a proper paint job, I did my best to capture Yomu's particular look, but it's a fairly generic anime girl face, so green eyes. It's basically the only unique identifier I could get for her, and her little hair bow, of course. And that is how you make an anime girl face to fit onto a Marvel Legends figure. So yeah, let's just take a look at the completed toy then, shall we? Yeah, there we go. That's Nico Minoru turned into the character that this is, Youmu Konpaku. I legitimately forgot it for a few seconds because, again, I don't know anything about this franchise. I mean, is this sassy hands and hip pose even appropriate for the character? I don't know. I don't know a damn thing about it. But I do know she uses a sword, so I gave her a sword. It came from one of my Robin figures, the Robin, the Damian Wayne Robin that has a sword. I put a little thing on the end to be like that little white tassel that the end of her katana has. Although she only has one holding thing hand, so I didn't really see need to give her the second sword, the wakizashi. I know swords. I watch a lot of anime. I know swords. Okay, yep, that's it. Like I said, I'm not gonna embarrass myself anymore by pretending to know more than I do. Let's just say I really wish that there was a Penny Parker action figure, because that would have been a better base toy, but we work with what we got in the customizing space. So I hope you all like the figure, and this is Wake Angel 2001 signing off.